Hello crafty friends, and welcome to another clean and simple card making video. Today I'm going to make two cards, one with a more masculine feel and one with a more feminine feel. And I'm going to be working on 4x6" card blanks, but you can adapt these sketches to whatever size and dimension cards that you like to make. So here are my card blanks. They're made of hammered textured white card, and I've die cut two panels out of some more hammered textured card. And I've made them significantly smaller than my usual panels, but I wanted a nice chunky white border around the outside. So what I want to do is put a tiny little bit of glue on the back and get this placed where I want it on the card like that. That's about the right place. This is just temporarily adhered. And I'm going to take my rule of thirds acetate grid and mark on the panel where a third of the way up the card will be, about there. And I take that off now, and I can just rub that bit of tape off so it doesn't stick to everything I put it on. And I'll get the other card panel and put a little mark there as well. I want to do some blending on my panel, so I've got some post-it tape here, and I'm going to run it across horizontally where I've put that pencil mark. For my more feminine card, I'm going to go with a traditional pink. This is Spun Sugar Distress Oxide. It is very, 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 very light, so it can take a few applications to get a solid colour. So I'm going to add some visual texture now with some stamping, and I've chosen hearts to go with the pink, again kind of traditional. And I'm using saltwater taffy. It's a more saturated version of spun sugar. I'm not looking for perfect impressions because I've got hammered textured card, so it undulates a bit, and I'm not going to cover the whole thing. I'm just going to add a bit here and there. Right, so it's not, as I say, perfect, it's not complete, it's just some interesting visual texture. For the more masculine card, we'll go brown. So I don't want to add too much ink and completely get a flat colour. I quite like the fact that it's almost translucent and you've got some dips and you've got the darkness around the edge here. And for this one I'm going to use this grid stamp, and for the ink I'm using walnut stain, which is a darker brown. I want to spatter on a bit of metallic, so on this one I'm going to add rose gold, and I've put a bit of tissue there to cover up the empty white space of my card and give that a good splatter. And for this brown card I'm going to add a really dark copper colour. And I'll give both of these a really good blast with the hairdryer. So let's peel off the masking. And now we've got some nice pattern, colour, visual texture and shimmer and shine. On the sketch there's a band of something thin running across the front of the card. So I'm going to use washi tape, and I've got this rose gold glitter washi tape which I'll put on this one. If you haven't got your blended area quite straight in your card, this is an opportunity to correct that. You can use the tape to create a nice straight line. For this one I've got some dark brown or some warm grey. I'm going to put the dark brown one first and see if I like that. I want a little bit of contrast, it doesn't have to be too much. Yeah, I think I like the brown, I think that works. Now on the sketch there's a circular element here. You could use a circle if you like, or you could use a star, a heart, a leaf, a hexagon, whatever takes your fancy. For the pink card I've die cut out some little flowers and leaves, so I'm thinking maybe something like that. I could do a double layer of flowers or just leave it at one. I think one's probably enough. And for my brown card I've used a cog die to die cut out a cog. I'm thinking I might paint this with that copper paint. You could just use copper coloured cardstock or some glitter copper cardstock for something like this. But doing it this way, I get to match the paint on here with the paint that's on the card already. To stop this blowing away, I'm going to put my tweezers in one of the little holes there, and I'll give it a second coat. You could colour the card before you cut it, but either way works. So I'm actually thinking of making this card this way up, putting the cog there and the sentiment there, or you could do it that way around. The sketches are there to give you a starting point. You don't have to follow them religiously. We'll keep this one this way up though. I'm going to use the spun sugar again to add some colour to this. And I'll go over it as well with a bit of saltwater taffy. I'll just scrape this on here like this to put some ink around the edges to give it a bit of a mottled or natural look. I like that. Now these petals have bits where they're joined together. I'm just going to snip through those because I want the petals to be separate, and I can curl them and curve them individually. I want to give the leaves a little bit of colour, so I'm thinking just a little press down into some speckled egg, which is a greeny grey or a grey green. I don't want it to distract from the rest of the card. I add a tiny little dot of glue in the middle of the leaves, and then add my flower on top. Got a little bit of leaf peeking out around the flower. I'm going to use tape runner to add my panels to my cards. So I'll just dip my embellishments into some of the high-tack white glue and then place it on my card on that intersection of the two third lines here and here. If you want to know how to make this grid, there is a video linked down in this video's description. There are also links to the sketch booklet for June. Just spread out a little bit of glue on my mat, and then I can dip this in so it gets glue over most of the back. And again, I can place it on that intersection, and I'm going to do it on the right hand side. Couldn't remember my right from left there. And mop up any extra glue by putting a bit of tissue over it. For my sentiments, I've dipped into this month's printable sentiments. There's a link for those down in the video description as well. And I've chosen Thank You, and I die cut them out with a stitched rectangle die. On the sketch, the sentiment is above the line here. I like that, but I'm wondering about putting it below the line. Let me know what you think in the comments, above the line or below the line. I think I'm going to put it on this one below the line, just for a change. It does make it pop because it breaks up that area. You've got the black, the white, and then the background. And again, this could go below the line or above the line. It could go in the middle and overlap that cog. It could straddle the washi tape and the background. I think I'm going to do that on this one. So again, it pops because it's breaking up that area. And now we've got this area that's all lovely and empty. So I think these definitely count as clean and simple. We've got lots of empty white space. We've got this big white border around the outside, and we've got this area here and here. And all the lines are really clean, even though we've got quite a grungy patterned area. And there are minimal layers. We've got the card, the panel, some washi, and the die cuts on top. Before I finish, I want to put a flower centre in. I could use some Nouveau drops, but I'm thinking a rose gold circle. So I've got my circle there, and now I can kind of flick up my petals a bit. If this is going through the post, the petals will probably get flattened out, and I'm adding a small amount of Nouveau Crystal Glaze, which is very similar to glossy accents, and that will just add a little bit of dimension and gloss to the top of that copper flower centre or rose gold flower centre. Right, there you go, 2 cards made from the same sketch, one with a more feminine feel and one with a more masculine feel. I hope you've enjoyed today's video and it's given you some ideas. If it has, please let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll see you back here very soon for another clean and simple card making video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.